Hello my dear friends, in this tutorial I want to show you how to do the two most basic stitches in the knitting world. It's the knit stitch and the purl stitch. So these two are a must. You have to learn them so you can build on them because these are the basics. So let's start the knit stitch now. So we have to familiarize our eyes with this pattern. When we're doing the knit stitch, I'm in the middle of the row, we place our right needle on the left side of the loop we're working on. This is the loop we're working on. We take our right needle, we place it on the left side. So we enter the loop. Here we enter the loop. We wrap the yarn around. Apply a tiny bit of tension here so it's in place. And then we exit the loop and we end where we began. Okay, so we end at the left side of the loop. Then we push it. Let's do again. Where do we begin? We begin by placing our right needle on the left side of this loop. We enter the loop from the left side. You wrap. Tiny bit of tension here. And when we exit, we find ourselves at where we began on the left side of the loop. Then we push it away. Let's do a couple more. Enter from the left side. Hop. Everything's in its place. Exit and find yourself at the left side again, and we push. So when you're doing a whole row as knit stitch, your yarn will always be at the back side, but sometimes in some patterns you do 2 knit, 2 purl, something else. When you're beginning a knit stitch, you have to make sure that your yarn is at the back side of your right needle. So here it's there already by itself, but if it's not, you have to take it away and put it at the back side. So let's do 2, 3 more. Take your right needle, place it on the left side of the first loop. Enter the first loop. Wrap around, exit, and find yourself at where you began and push it. Make sure your rope is at the back side. Enter from the left side. Wrap around, exit. Make sure you're on the left side again and push. So I'm going to finish this row very quickly. And then we have to learn the purl stitch, which is the complementary stitch of the knit stitch. You have to learn the two together, because when you want to have this pattern, this look, you do this knit stitch on the front side of your project, but when you turn it around, you cannot do the same. Okay, because that will end up in a different pattern. So we did this on this side, but when you turn around, you see a whole different story. So this is the purl stitch. It's the back side of a knit stitch. And when you come here, you have to purl. You cannot do what we just did on the front side. So you have to learn how to do this as well. But you can also use this as the front side of your project as well. This is called the purl stitch, and it's a pattern on its own. So remember, in the knit stitch, you have to have the rope at the back of the right needle. In the purl, you have to have the rope at the front of the right needle. It should always be in the front. So the first loop, we don't touch it. It's untouchable. It's a rule. Now, when you're doing a purl stitch, you take your right needle and you enter the first loop from the right side. Enter the loop from the right side. Right needle on the right side, enter the loop. We wrap the yarn around. Just apply a tiny bit of tension. When we exit, we should find ourselves at the right side of the loop and then pull. Enter from the right side. Make sure you're on the right side. Enter from the right side. Wrap around. Exit. Enter from the right side. Wrap around. Exit and pull. Let me do it slower. I should enter the loop from the right side. Wrap my yarn around, tiny bit of tension. When I exit, my right needle should be at the right side of the loop. Doesn't matter if it's in the front or it's in the back, it should be at the right side, not at the left, the right side. And I pull. Enter from the right, wrap around, exit and pull. So this is the purl stitch. Enter from the right, wrap around, exit and pull. So let's turn this around and see what we have here. See, the purls we did at the back side resulted in knit stitches in the front side. So that's why I told them that they are complementary stitches. You have to learn both. So I'm not going to finish this row. I think you get the idea. But I will talk about some of the characteristics of knit stitch and purl stitch. So I'm trying to correct it with my hand all the time because one, let's say, problem with it is that it doesn't lay flat. It curls on itself. Okay? This is not because we did something wrong, because this is how knit stitch and purl stitch is. So if you're going to use this in a project like a blanket, a scarf, a hat, a jumper, anything, it's not going to look very nice when it curls up like this, and it's not going to be very practical. So we have ways to avoid it. You have to use, not you have to, but you can use a different stitch at the first 3 rows, a stitch that doesn't curl on itself, and then keep on the rest with knit stitch or purl stitch. Now I will show you some examples of that I had done and completed before and how it looks. So here, this is something I had done during the pandemics, and you can see that it's a beautiful knit stitch, but in the below I have a rib stitch. I can also make a tutorial on this, but it's quite easy. As you can see, it is 2 knit, 2 purl, 2 knit, 2 purl. Rib stitch lays flat beautifully, it doesn't curl on itself, so this makes it quite practical. If I didn't do this at the bottom rows, if I finished it, if I started it with knit stitches, it would curl on itself. Another example that I can show you is, and I want to show you these because although they are all with different types of yarns, you would have the same problem. So this is the winter version. So I have used the same trick. I had started it with rib stitch and followed along with knit stitches. So this is how knit stitch looks. And as you can imagine, the inside of it is purl. What else can you use? So this is a bunny hat that I had done. So here I used the knit stitch, but in order to avoid this curling problem, here for 3 rows I had used a garter stitch. That's also very easy to do, and I'm happy to make a tutorial on that as well. Garter stitch also doesn't curl, so it makes beautiful bottoms for these projects. And one final suggestion for you is, this is not a finished project, it is a baby blanket I'm working on, and I'm making a full tutorial on this, and I will upload it when it's finished. This is called the seed stitch. So I want to show you this because here you can see I made squares of knit stitch and purl stitch. Let's see the other way around. So this is a knit stitch, and here it is, the purl. next to it is a knit stitch. So you can use it both ways. But I couldn't have started it and done it like this because it would curl on itself. So I preferred using seed stitch, and a different pattern that lays flat beautifully. Let me show you this in more detail. So here you can see the differences of a knit stitch and a purl stitch. And in order to avoid curling, I used seed stitch. You can use seed stitch, garter stitch, or just rib stitches. So that's all for now. Please like the video if you liked it, and consider following this channel because I will be uploading more tutorials, and I'm always happy to read your comments if you have any. Bye and enjoy your knitting.